So welcome everybody to the second of our three-part series on Momentum Boost, which we're calling Look Up, Climb Up, and Speak Up. I'm, of course, Adrienne Gould-Davis. I'm your host and facilitator for this series. Since October the 7th, Momentum has brought 6 missions, among other initiatives, to Israel, with over 900 people who came to learn, to bear witness, to volunteer, and to stand in solidarity with our beloved homeland. And while we thought we were coming to help Israel, what we quickly discovered is that we gained so much more than we could ever possibly give. You see, the resilience of the Jewish nation, and particularly the Israeli people, brought us a measure of commitment and comfort and growth that we could in turn bring home to our families and to our communities. Now, I think we know that Jews are no strangers to times of crisis. It's part of our oscillating narrative, a history of strength, of faith, of rebuilding. And as Jews in the diaspora, we are, of course, once again in trying times. Anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic acts are up 400% in the United States. We have faced anti-Israel protests, social media slurs, student encampments that are agitating against us. We have watched anti-Semitism pretend to hide behind the concept of anti-Zionism. We've seen our enemies hijack our narrative and manipulate the uninformed. You know, it was just a couple of months ago, we sat around the table at Passover and we read that famous line in the Haggadah, "In every generation, they will rise up against us." You know what I think? I think our generation thought we were going to be exempt from that reality, that this was an erroneous idea. We thought that the statute of limitations post the Holocaust would pass over our generation, but we know now that we're in the thick of it. Now, you, our allies, and our alumni of over 25,000 people around the world on every continent, you asked us repeatedly to help unpack where we're holding right now and to help you understand what our efforts should be in the face of all of it. So tonight, in our second part, I'm welcoming the fantastic Eve Levy to help us unpack the concept of climbing up, or what we at Momentum call taking action. So let me tell you a bit about Eve. She's what you could call a magnetic force, and her Jewish journey, it's taken her to some of the most beautiful cities around the world. She's been in Montreal and in Calgary and in Toronto and Jerusalem and in Denver and in Portland, and now she's in Deerfield, Illinois. So her passion is helping Jewish women find their unique light and connect them to their Judaism in a way that's meaningful to them and to help guide them along their spiritual journeys. And she gets her inspiration from the hundreds of women that she's privileged to work with, taking women to Israel to share her love of the land and of the Jewish people is Eve's favorite part of her life's work. And she's been a city leader on Momentum trips for us since 2010. She's now a beloved trip educator. And, you know, she's just extraordinary. And by the way, in 2017, Eve created something that has now led several very powerful trips, and it's called the Poland-Israel Journey. It's very dear to her because, of course, she is the daughter of 4 Holocaust survivors. And when she's not doing her, inspirational programs or trips or retreats and all the things she does, she's at Zumba, or she's baking challah for the community, or driving her kids back and forth to school like the rest of us. Now, except for the cold weather, she's very, very happy in Chicago. And she and her other half, Rabbi Gadi, love their new community, and they're thrilled being with the L'Chaim Center. And this is part of the reason that I wanted her to join us tonight. You see, the L'Chaim Center and Eve and Gadi at the helm have done so much work for the community since October 7th. So when it comes to taking action, she is the voice I want you to hear from. So please join me in welcoming Eve Levy.
Thank you. Wow. What an introduction.
Yeah.
I love you, Adrienne. And I'm getting so many private messages from so many women that I've traveled with throughout the last decade plus of momentum. So it's really nice to be with you guys tonight. And I hope to shed a little bit of inspiration. Everything that I do is really just to keep myself inspired. So all the trips, I want to make a difference. And thank God I've been placed in communities where I could rally my friends, rally the troops. And it's not me that makes anything happen. It's us. It's women coming together. It's Momentum alumni who have tasted what it's like to be part of something so huge. And that's kind of what I'm going to share tonight. I'm going to share some things that have happened over the last 10 plus months in my community. And I really honestly take very little credit for anything amazing that has happened. It's all the Momentum lay leaders and leaders and these rising alumni that in the hundreds that I really feel so blessed to walk arm in arm with. So 325 days is a very long time to keep anything going, right? We go up, we go down, we feel inspired, we feel devastated. We're like, I felt like a yo-yo in the past 10 months. All the emotions, fear, hope, excitement, light, darkness. We just saw it all, felt it all, despair at moments, turning to prayer, spirituality like I've never felt in my life. Everything. We've all gone through this incredibly challenging and also amazing time over the last 10 months of really looking in and seeing what we're made of. And we've realized that we're made of really, really strong stuff. And I just want to admit, I'm going to start off just being really just real with you guys. There are parts of this journey of the past 10 months where I've started to feel numb. And, I don't know, just kind of giving up, feeling like, what's the point? What are we doing? It's so small. We're so it's insignificant in the scope of everything. And if I'm normal, and if this resonates with you, maybe you could feel normal, that it's a really long time to keep going without kind of feeling, what's this all about? And how is this making a difference? So I hope you guys feel a little normal now, or maybe I'm not normal, but I've definitely gone through my ups and my downs. In preparation for tonight, I actually pulled out a diary just a notebook that I started on day 2 of this war. And it was so interesting to go back and to see where I was and to see what I thought we needed to do. And to also see like what actually took off and what didn't, because we don't know. But the effort was there from the very beginning. And some things that I found in my diary it's still something that I think about every single day. One line that I wrote was, if we want peace, make peace. And I'm just talking to myself. There were relationships that needed to be fixed. There was inner work that needed to be done. And there was so much inner stuff that I needed to take on myself in my own interpersonal relationships. And that still holds true every single day throughout these months. There was another column towards the beginning where I made a column of things that I thought we could do in our community. And it was really interesting 10 months later to go back and to see what we did, what we didn't do, what worked, what didn't work, what was a complete flop. Because I'm going to be honest, not everything took off, but some initiatives that we did together with our community literally grew wings and just took off. They soared. And I feel very proud to be a part of a community that's always trying to get back up. And when Adrienne told me, would you share about this topic of climb up, taking action, the words climb up, it really, I was thinking of this time of year. We just got up from 3 sad weeks. We just had the saddest day in the Jewish calendar, Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, where literally the custom is to sit on the floor, to sit on low chairs as if we're in mourning, because we are mourning for all that we've lost as a Jewish people. And at the end of it, we get up. And I just brought my Siddur with me. When I was thinking about getting up, I was thinking about all the different lines. And in the prayer, Lecha Dodi, we have the words, Hitna'ari me'afar kumi, shake off the dust. Get up. You're going to get dressed again in your beautiful clothing. And the next line is hit orari, hit orari. Wake up, wake up. Shake off your slumber. Time to get up. So there are many, many lines in Judaism, in the Torah, and all the different books and sources that tell us that there's a time to be down and there's also a time to get up. And I love this climb up, take action, because the time is now to get up, to shake ourselves off from the despair, from the fear, from all of that really could just paralyze us, to shake it off and to armor ourselves with faith. Right now, we need faith more than ever, and we need hope. There's no alternative. As Rachel Goldberg Poland says, there really is nothing else. We need to hold on to hope, because what is the alternative? We're not going towards despair. So just to get up, to shake ourselves off. And as we read in the Haftorah during these 7 weeks between the sad period of time and the times coming up in just a few weeks, spoiler alert, High Holidays is coming up in like 5 weeks. So during this time, God gives us a lot of consolation and comfort. And every week of these 7 weeks of comfort, God tells us to get up. And there's one line that always just lightens my heart. It says, "Arise, be radiant, for your time is coming." And that, I think, we just need to hold on to as we walk through these very, very uncertain times. Okay, so getting back to that list that I found in my diary, what were some of the categories that I felt, little insignificant me in Deerfield, Illinois, what could I do for this war effort? And I started journaling and writing, and it was so clear to me. And it's interesting that all these months later, it's still the same things that we could do. Yes, we could take out our credit card and we could give and give and give until it hurts. And we need to, and we should, because the needs are so great. But more than that, what can we do? We could pray. These are some of the things that I wrote down. And we started a new prayer service daily to say Kaddish for one of the families where the whole family was murdered on October 7th, the Quds family from one of the kibbutzim on the border of Gaza. Our community has been saying Kaddish as if they're our family. And on one of the trips that we took, we actually brought an olive tree to this family, and we let them know the family of 5 were all murdered, but we went to their parents, to the grandparents on the kibbutz, and we told them that our community is saying Kaddish for them every single day, and we planted an olive tree in their yard. So there was the prayer part, which definitely we felt, motivated to do, because there's nothing else to do but to pray when you're in that foxhole. You have to turn upwards. There was charity, which we gave, and we gave, all of us, right? We all, thank God, we're giving, and we're giving people. They were doing certain initiatives that we did. We had this sisterhood of candlelighting was one of the ideas that came up with my team of women, that we could encourage women that don't light Shabbat candles to light. And we made a beautiful box with candles and with the blessing and just everything, and gave it to them, and people bought it for their daughters in college. And just it was a beautiful initiative of just bringing light and merit to the world. And when we say our blessings, to send that merit off to the tunnels of Gaza or to the borders of Israel, where the soldiers need those prayers and that light. There was so much. There was learning initiatives, there was advocacy. We really learned how to stand up for Israel. We brought in many organizations like Stand With Us to teach us about Israel, so we could answer the questions, the hard questions that not only our colleagues are asking us out there, but that our children are asking us. And to really arm ourselves with answers, we had a responsibility to ourselves and to them, our inner circle, and to them far across the ocean in Israel. We just felt a sense of responsibility. So towards the beginning of this war, Momentum coined an amazing term. They said, head, hands, and heart. And almost like a little bit of a check-in every single day. And it's usually at the end of the day when I finally hit the pillow, I ask myself if I use my head, hands, and heart to do something for Israel. And one of the ladies on this call right now, Bonnie Vozar, I'm going to give her a shout out because she really inspired me to think about it. She told me that every single day she asks herself, did I post something? Did I give something? Even if it's a small amount, am I using my muscles to not become, God forbid, complacent and not allow ourselves to become numb, which we've all felt at certain times. So that has really guided me through these months. That checklist every day. Have I done something for Israel? Have I said a prayer? Have I given? Have I posted something? Have I signed a letter? There's so many letters and they're so easy to do, right? You just have to click on it, sign your name, and send it to the congressman or send it to whoever it needs to go to. So those are some things. So we've tried many things, many initiatives. As I told you, some took off, some didn't, but it's not about the outcome, it's more about the effort. And we learned this from a Mishnah in Judaism that says, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It's not incumbent upon you to finish the task. It goes on to say, Velo ata ben chorin lihivatel mimenu. You are not free to refrain from doing it. You don't need to finish it, but you certainly need to start it. And that's all we need to do. We need to put our hearts, our efforts, our intentions, set them straight. The rest is up to Hashem. It's not up to us what the outcome is going to be. I want to tell you guys a little story. So thank God I was able to go on a Momentum Mobilizes trip. I went twice, once in November, the first trip ever of this kind, and again in January. And that first trip, not knowing what to expect, feeling a little jittery, right? It was fresh. It was a month into the war. And my whole community wanted to come with me. Like, we always joke about, I'm going to squeeze myself into your suitcase and I'm coming with you. I literally, ladies were wanting to come in my luggage with me, but they couldn't. But they wanted to send stuff. And they had the biggest hearts. People were coming to my doorstep, handing me cash, envelopes of cash, with thank God I was able to give out. I bought, I don't know, 80, 90 gift cards full of cash. And I was able to give it to the teens that I met and the displaced families and the chayalim. They wouldn't take it. And I'm like, take it, take it. So it was beautiful, this outpouring of love and affection from the community. And the women that were supposed to come with me on a Momentum trip, they actually packed my bags with me and they literally took me to the airport. And I'll never forget, they made this tunnel. It was 20, 30 ladies that were supposed to be going to Israel with me, but things changed. And it was just me going with their duffel bags and duffel bags of gifts. And I'll never forget this, Adrienne. It was so precious. They made when they make like a little tunnel, and I walked through it and I couldn't hold back the tears because I just felt they were all with me. This was not me going by myself. This was a whole community, duffel bags and cash and gifts and everything. Anyways, as the duffel bags started getting very heavy with all the supplies for soldiers, and there was still so much that people wanted to give, like gifts. Could you bring a gift? So I had this idea. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to share this because it's going to sound a little stupid, but at the time I thought it was a good idea. I thought, they want to spend money. And there's so many wives of miluim, of reservists, and families that are displaced that barely had time to take their toothbrush, let alone pack all their belongings. I'll tell my women to buy the nicest lipsticks they could find. Buy a good quality lipstick from Sephora, an amazing mascara from Target, whatever you would buy for yourself, spend a good $30, $40. Let's pack up these little bags. I bought these little zip up bags, and we put like gift cards and all this stuff inside with toiletries for these women. And I got to Israel, and we get there on the first day, and I felt so stupid. I just felt like, what was I thinking? There's a war going on. And here I am with a duffel bag of lipsticks. The Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, was working overtime, telling me how foolish I am. And I was embarrassed to even Go Inspire this duffel bag because I just felt like, this is a joke, Eve. This is like people's lives. Like, who cares about a lipstick? And then there was a board member that got up on the stage to welcome everyone. I think her name was Rivka Kidron. And she said the right words, the words that I needed to hear. She said, we all feel so insignificant, but we all came and we're going to do a drop of good and another drop of good and give our little gift and give our little amounts and give our smiles and another drop and another drop. And together, we're going to create a tsunami of good. And that's what I needed to hear, because I think part of what holds us back is that evil inclination that tells us it's so useless in the big scope of things. Like, what is your effort going to cause? Nothing. I can't change the situation. I can't heal the broken hearts. I wish I could bring these hostages home, as much as I cry and beg and plead and do everything and march and rally and everything we could do. We feel so powerless. And that could be the evil inclination telling us, just give up right now. But Rivka gave me the right words. We're just going to do our little part and our little part, because it's not incumbent upon us to finish the task. We just need to start it. So I want to share some of my favorite initiatives that took place at L'Chaim. And if we had more time, I would share some of the things that didn't work. But I don't know if we have enough time for that, but any of you could reach out to me and I could help you and I could tell you what worked and what didn't work. I'm going to give you some of my favorites. I'm going to start with my favorite one, just because I don't know how much time we're going to have. This one is, this was totally born from a board meeting that I had with about 15 Momentum alumni. We got together to discuss the situation. What can we do? And we were talking about the hostages. Something that many of us do is every Sunday, we walk and we hold signs that say run for their lives. We walk in the main section of our community on the streets, and lots of cars driving by every single Sunday since the beginning of this war. This is a project that's done all over the world, and many of the L'Chaim Center participants come and they do this. So we think about the hostages all the time, and they're always on our minds and on our hearts. Every single day we pray for them all the time. And yet I felt, and we felt together, that we have to do something more. We need to bring more awareness. So our L'Chaim Center is, we rent space in a big building with a big dental practice and psychiatrists and therapists, and there's a seamstress that's very popular. There's a lot of traffic in the building. It's just a regular building, and we rent a certain space. So the idea came up from my Momentum women that we really should hang up pictures of the hostages. They should be plastered all around the walls. That when people walk into the building, they see the faces. You cannot turn away from these faces. The most beautiful faces, pure, innocent. And this is what we wrote. I printed it. I want to read you. This came about just sitting together, jotting down some ideas, because we printed it into a big sign next to all the pictures. It says, take a walk with us down this hall of beautiful faces. To your right are faces of those individuals who have miraculously returned home from captivity, either freed, released, or rescued. May their emotional scars and trauma continue to heal. On the left side are the pictures of those individuals who were brutally murdered by Hamas. May their memories always be a blessing. Hashem yakom damam. May God avenge their deaths. Keep walking and turn the corner to your left. There, taped up on the walls, are the faces of innocent people who are still being held in captivity in Gaza. As this is written, at the time, there were 134 hostages that still needed to come home. I think now there's 109. Then it says, take a minute, take this walk. Don't allow yourself to become numb. Look at their faces, read their names. Don't forget them. Say a prayer for them. Do a good deed in their merit. Send them strength and love and light. Bring them home now. So this was just something we wrote it together as a team. The next day, with my women are incredible, as I said, one of the women, who her name is Julie Crennan, I'll give her a shout out. She actually works for Momentum. Julie had it printed up and hung up, and we keep adjusting the pictures as things change and moving from one section to the next of those that were released, thank God, or rescued, and those no longer alive. It says of blessed memory. It's something that we're always updating. There's a table in this corner with some seats with some LED lights, with prayers, momentum prayer books that we got. There's notepads and papers and pens, and you could just have a seat and write a prayer. And I can't tell you, I mean, amazing things happen every single day in my life, in my world at L'Chaim Center. Just incredible people are brought into our space. But my favorite thing is when I see a person taking that walk, and it happens just about every day. Someone just sees the sign, reads it, looks at, they take that walk, they touch the pictures, some of them sit down. There was one man that actually took a seat. He started to cry. He wrote a note. I asked him, it was the day that some of our community were going on a Momentum Mobilizes trip. I asked him if he would like us to bring his note to the Western Wall. He was sobbing. It was just so meaningful. It's someone that I've never seen before, never seen again, but we created a space for this to happen. And this is something that you could do in your communities, in your synagogues, in your homes. We had people come before Passover to take a picture of a hostage off our wall, to bring it home and to put it at their Seder table. And everyone took pictures, and then we put them back on the walls. Like, this is something, it's alive. Because over this time, we've realized that we could love someone that we've never met, and we could miss someone that we've never met. We could pray for them as if they're our own, as if they're our children, because it could have been your child, it could have been my child. There was, Hamas did not differentiate. They wanted to kill, they wanted to hurt. It didn't matter who you were, where you were from, right? There are many nationalities that are represented amongst the captives. So that's one initiative that I feel very proud of. I think it's impacted and affected a lot of people, strangers that would not have that awareness. Okay, how much more time do I have? I'm gonna do one or two more. One that came up the first week of the war was something that my husband actually thought of. He started a hashtag called Blue Can't Be Broken. And we bought tons and tons of blue ribbon. And we, day and night for the first few days, we put a little note attached to the ribbon, and we dropped it in every single mailbox. Now, we live in a very Jewish suburb in Chicago. And it's almost like, we're preaching to the choir, but we went beyond our suburb, and we went to other places, and we asked, the little note said, will you tie this blue ribbon to your house or to your tree in solidarity with Israel and the Jewish people? And the idea behind it was that as anti-Semitism was just climbing at a crazy speed, we wanted our children, the kids walking home from their public school, to see that blue ribbon and feel that he or she is not alone. And this was something that also, once again, it was taken off it took off so great that other organizations started doing it, and other hashtags were made and websites were created. But I have to say, I'm really, really proud of the idea of the army that mobilized in dropping off these ribbons in every single mailbox and just asking people to stand with us. And when I walk on Shabbat through my community to get to my synagogue, I see them on all the trees, and every time I see it, I smile. It's on the mailboxes, it's on their homes, and it does fill my heart. And I hope it really helps all the teenagers and all the college students and all the people that are struggling with the complexity of this situation, so that they don't feel alone. I'm going to share one more initiative, if that's okay.
Of course.
So this one was not ours. I don't know who started this one, but we jumped onto it. And if I ever forget, if I forget to do it every day, oh, don't you worry. There's lots of people that remind me, because at 12 o'clock every day in Chicago, everyone here is on different time zones, but 12 o'clock in Chicago, it's equivalent to, I think it's 8 p.m. in Israel. And a beautiful initiative was started in the beginning of the war, that at 8 p.m. in Israel, the IDF are asking to stand with them, to stop what you're doing just for a few moments, to cover your eyes and say the Shema Yisrael. And I teach many times, it's 11 o'clock, right? I'm teaching around that time, it turns 12, I'm in the middle of a sentence. It doesn't matter. We stop, we can have a guest speaker up there. And my ladies nudge me, they say, Eve, tell them to stop. and we make an announcement. We say, could everyone just pause? And in solidarity with the IDF, we are going to say the Shema Yisrael. That is their request. And I know this personally because when I was in Israel on one of the trips, and we were sitting around a bonfire with some of the major players, and I don't know if they were majors or big heads of the army. And we said to them, this is a group of 80 women. We said, what can we do for you? Like anything. Like we would have given them anything that they asked for. And the commander said, all we need is your prayer. We need you guys to pray. We need miracles. We need merit. We need light. And I told him, that's actually what we do. We do that for you every single day. And he said, we'll keep doing it. It's working.
Wow.
So yeah, those are, thank you. I see that someone put it now in the chat. Thank you. There's a link to this initiative. So if you guys want to click on that link or copy it down and look at it later, you could get reminders, and there's a lot that's set up for you to do this. And it's a small thing, but it has transformed our community. 12 o'clock, everyone stops. Nothing goes on. We say Shema Yisrael, and it's a wonderful thing. It's so easy. So those are some of the things. Some of them, just looking, I made a little list. There are some other beautiful things that I'm happy to share with you guys maybe afterwards. Something that I noticed was that people really like to use their hands, right? When we say head, hands, and heart, whenever there's an activity where they could get their hands dirty, oh, everyone signs up for that. So when we have a fundraiser, let's make bracelets and sell them as a fundraiser. Everyone's in. Everyone likes to be busy with their hands. We had one beautiful initiative from a caterer in Chicago, Zelda's Catering, and they put it out there. They didn't want to put it on social media, so they made it just a very small request out there that was shared, and hundreds of people came, and they wanted to pack up soup, like dried soup packages, to deliver to the soldiers. And it just felt so good to use your hands. And those of us that are not able to be in Israel, because I think just looking at this screen and knowing many of you, I think all of us wish we could be there to really use our hands to volunteer, to make sandwiches for soldiers, to pull vegetables out of the earth, whatever's needed, we would be there. But some of us cannot be there. I can't be there all the time. And we have to kind of find ways to use our hands even here. And it just feels good. Adrienne.
I want to ask you a couple questions, if it's okay, before I
Sure.
let everybody else ask. First of all, somebody is asking for the copy of the sheet that you put on the wall. Perhaps what we can do is, if you're comfortable, we can send it to us, and then anyone who registered, when they get the recording of this conversation, will also receive that so that they can put it up. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, totally. In fact, maybe Julie Crennan's on the call. She works for you guys. She could probably send the PDF of what she created so beautifully, and we printed it at Walgreens for $10, and it's been up there, and it makes a huge impact.
That's fantastic. Okay, that will be tremendous. First of all, I have to say that I watched you from the very onset, especially with the Blue Ribbon campaign. That was the very first of it. And one of the things that you said early on really has stuck with me, which is that if it's not incumbent upon us to complete the task, but we're not free to refrain from beginning it, it sounds to me like this is a piece of Jewish wisdom. Many of us have that sense that if they're not going to see the fruits of their labors, they're not going to do the work. And it sounds to me like our tradition is telling us that according to the effort is the reward, not necessarily the outcome, but the reward. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when you have a community and you're leading a community, people will turn to you naturally and say, tell us what to do. So it's a little bit easier to mobilize. But what about as an individual? Now, obviously, anybody who went on our trips and is part of the bus chats or, the WhatsApp groups knows that like 100 times a day I get asked for donate to this and send money to this, and this one needs a vest and so on. And this is all powerful. What would you say to somebody who is in a place where they believe that they're running out of gas. One of my neighbors, for example, has taken all of the pictures of the hostages and laminated them, and is now hanging them on her tree. So when
Wow.
you walk by her house, they're blowing in the wind. It's in your face. For many of us who put up a lot of posters only to have them torn down, I cannot express how important it is to go put them back up again, even if you have to do it over and over and over.
So
So,
I have a little story that I'd love to share that talked to me because we all feel tired. We just feel tired from.
before you do, can I just ask everybody, you know what, I'd love to know, there's 100 of us on this call. Just tell me what partnering organization you came with on the trip. If you did come on the trip, just put it in the chat so we have a sense of it. Okay, sorry, go ahead,
So
Edie.
this is a story that I heard that really spoke to me, and it almost woke me up because I felt I was, as I said, the word numb before. If that resonates with any of you, that you just feel like I can't anymore. It's so long. So here's this a story. This is maybe 2 months ago, and summertime, and everyone's kind of like leaving town, and you're just not feeling the same intensity
Mhm.
and activism as it was in the beginning. Okay, we just kind of, that's just maybe normal. So we had a guest speaker that came to collect money. And as I said, we've given and we've given and we've given. And here's another initiative. This man stood in front of us to tell us about this great need. And I was sitting in the back and I just saw everyone's body language was like, oh, we've given. And then he shared this. He said, and he was a great storyteller. He's actually a tour guide on our momentum trips, David Sussman.
Oh, yeah.
So he said, can I tell you guys one more story? And everyone like kind of perked up. So they said, yeah, tell us, tell us. Everyone's leaning in. And he said there was this soldier and he fought in Gaza and he fought a very hard battle. And he was okay. He got through the day. Miracles happened. He was exhausted, but he was alive. And you know what he did the very next day? And everyone's like leaning in. What? What did he do? He got back in and he fought another battle.
Huh.
And I'm telling you, Adrienne, for me, I was, to be honest, I was feeling like the donor fatigue. That's what
Yeah.
they call it. Like, how many times could you give? And it's almost like an endless pit. It really is because the needs are so great. We're gonna need to support the recovery of Israel for the next decade. The trauma, the therapies that are going to be needed. And I just saw, he had a QR code up, and after he shared that, people started taking out their phones, zooming into the QR, and giving a donation. What is it like? We have so much. We could all give. Thank God we're able to give. And whether it's giving or doing or whatever it is, we want to be. I once heard a quote. It said, "Oh, what is this quote? I wrote it down. Okay, here it is. Some people watch things happen. Some people make things happen. Some people don't know what happened, right? Like you have different types.
Sure.
Where do we want to be? We don't want to be watching from the spectators. Like we're not, this is us. This is our people. We're one. This is our brothers and sisters. Literally, if Israel is not okay, we're not okay. It doesn't matter where you live. There's no safe place for a Jew if we don't have a country, a homeland, our homeland. And we have to realize that this is close. There's no degrees of separation here, right? So we can't feel tired. They must be exhausted, but it doesn't matter. They get up every single day, put on a smile, raise their children, go to work, go to school with war looming in the background. I don't know. It woke me up. That was the story that spoke to me. And I saw from the body language of the group that it really woke people up.
That is an incredible story. As you were speaking, I was thinking that is what it is to be a mother, of course, It's like
Right.
all of the chores, so many of the
Right.
tasks we do as a mother are undone the minute we don't do them. You spend the time, you make the food is gone. They eat it in 30 seconds or they reject it. You clean the floor, it's filthy again. There's laundry every single night. To be a
Yeah.
parent is to repeat the same task over and over and not feel that because it's not permanently in staying in that status
Right.
that it is somehow a failure. When we started, I was the one who started that Head Hands Heart initiative. And the way that I had thought about it was The head was the intellectual component. And I think for taking action, I'm glad you raised it because I think it's really important. The head is your mindset. Your head is the ability to understand. This is something we talked about last week, that even though this is in our generation something new for most of us, this is part of the trajectory of being a Jew, and
Right.
to not allow ourselves to get depressed or to despair, to, as you said, rise up, shake yourself off. Make sure that you are holding in your mind philosophically that if this is in front of you, it's for you, and that there's nothing more important in your life right now than to have the appropriate mindset, however you achieve it. And people will go to others who will help them achieve it. In terms of your heart, that's the spirituality level, is understanding that a prayer in any language, because God speaks every single language, is the moving out of yourself and to energetically, you mentioned a tsunami. I remember reading years ago that after that tsunami in Phuket, remember when thousands of people were killed on the beach in Thailand, like overnight? They had created this early warning system that underneath the water, as waves were building up, they would be able to be warned that a tsunami was coming. Well, the same thing is true spiritually. Extra waves of kindness, of giving, of spiritual intentions, of praying in your own language, in your own way.
100%.
It's an early warning system as well. And with your hands, there is another survey you can fill out. There is another thing that you can write in about, do another poster you can put up, even if it was pulled down.
Right.
And
I want to tell the women that are listening to this call that I know that everyone wants to hear what's going on so that we could be inspired, we could learn from each other. But I also think that's important. But it's also looking at yourself and not always looking at what everyone else is doing, and just making sure that you're doing what you could do, because
yes,
everyone is so different. It's not a race. It's not, as I said, some things take off, some things don't. It's not to get down, but to get back up and try to figure it out. But it's not about what everyone else is doing. It's about what you're doing. We all need to see this time as a personal journey towards that head, hands, and heart, our capacity to expand ourselves, to give of ourselves, of our emotions, of our prayers. And even if we don't pray on a regular basis, like I think during this time, people have said, people have come to me and said, could you teach me how to pray? Like that was never in the cards for them, but they want to, at least they want to.
sure,
And it's such a beautiful thing when it's personal, and I've expanded. And if I could share just one more instance, and I'm embarrassed to share this, but we're all sisters here. The beginning of the war, my husband bought the largest Israeli flag you could possibly get on Amazon. It's huge. Hung it on a big flagpole, hanging out outside our house. And I was fine with it. I didn't think about it. Amazing. We love Israel. Like everything is Israeli about us. Our kids were joking. They're like, why don't you just paint the house blue and white? They're like, you guys are going overboard. Anyways, my fear, my generational trauma got the
sure,
better of me. It
sure,
was it was Halloween, so just in the beginning of the war, and people were knocking on my door. And I imagined that our Amazon drivers were throwing boxes at our door. And my husband was out of town, and there was one night that I was paralyzed with fear. I
sure.
said, how do I know there's so many haters out there? How do and I did something that I'm very embarrassed of. I told my husband that I was feeling a lot of anxiety, and he said, "No problem. I'm so sorry. I left you for a week, and I get it. It's very tense right now. Chicago, there was a protest, and there was stuff." And he said, "I'm going to tell the neighbor to take it down." And the neighbor came and took it down. And for about a day, I sat with the feelings that only no one else could, like, this was me and my own journey. I felt ashamed. I felt uncomfortable. I thought of all the ancestors that had perished because they were Jews. And I felt like I can't even have a flag outside my house. It has nothing to do with anyone else, by the way, because most of my neighbors don't have flags outside. I really think I'm the only one maybe in my neighborhood. Like, I don't see them hanging around. I get it. But I had to struggle through the pain of what I did to take down my flag. And it took about 24 to 48 hours. And I proudly put it up.
Hmm.
And I just want to put that out there because it's not about what everyone else is doing. It's about you and knowing your capacity and then stretching it a little bit more because we're so much bigger than we give ourselves credit for. And we
Oh,
could do more. We could climb up. We could stand up and be proud and loud and strong and and be a role model for all the people that it's not about what we say, it is about what we do. And the little ones are watching. They're watching.
oh, Eve, honestly, I find you breathtaking. Thank you for this. Thank you so much. And I'm sure you'll agree that Momentum's mission is really more important now than it ever has been because since October 7th, the Momentum women are the ones who are standing up and climbing up and speaking up. And we actually need everybody's help to unlock the power of more Jewish women around the world. So I just want to
Mhm.
remind everybody that September 25th to 26th is our annual fundraising campaign. And we have 36 hours to raise $1 million. And I'm hoping that you will all pitch in $1 at a time, $18 at a time, $36, 3,600 if you like. Every single bit of it is totally doubled. It's going to be matched. And our campaign will go live on September 25th. And, we'll put a link in the chat today. If you want to do it now, we'll save it for that. But in the meantime, honestly, Eve, you are.
On behalf of my community, I just want to say without momentum, none of this action would be happening. Momentum needs to be supported because the ripple effects are huge. You guys are literally changing the world. So thank you and support momentum. Yes.
Oh, God bless you. So Eve, you were as I expected, extraordinary. It's just a joy to listen to you. And I just want to tell everybody that next week we have the inimitable Dr. Zohar Raviv. I don't know if you know, but Eve knows him. Dr. Raviv is the internationally recognized Jewish thought leader and educator. He's the VP of international VP rather of educational strategy for Taglit Birthright Israel. He's actually Momentum Scholar in Residence this year. He's an amazing guy who, when I introduce him on the trips, I often say he's my husband in my next life, but my husband doesn't think it's funny, so I can't do it anymore. Anyway, I just want to tell everybody that we've talked last week about the spiritual piece. This week, Eve helped us see the climbing up. Next week, Dr. Raviv will help with the final session. His take on Jewish identity is so unique, so different. And every time he speaks, I swoon and I learn something new. So I hope you'll join us for the final session for that. Eve, once again, on behalf of all of us, all of the women here, thank you. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for sharing your resources with us. And to each and every one of us, your head, your hand, or your heart, once a day, do something. Stand up and be counted. May we all be blessed. May our hostages come home. May all of our soldiers come home safely. May we see peace in our times. And let's all say,
Amen.
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 Good night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Eve. You're amazing.
Oh,
See you
So good.
tomorrow at class.
See you at class.
honestly.
Thanks, Eve. So nice to see you.
Hi, Shell.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi,
Wait,
Nick.
Bye.
Nikki from Australia? It's like
Yep.
Yeah,
2 days later.
yeah.
Wow.
Hi.
You're younger on this call, darling. There's so many
Have
people
a
out there.
great night.
Hi, guys.
You were unbelievable, Eva. It was so moving for me, and I just feel like we needed this. We all need to be together. Clearly, it's a 9 o'clock Eastern time on a Monday night. There's 100 people on here, and this is what it means to be.
We never want to get off, right, Adrienne?
Mindy, last time Mindy and I were on till the very bitter end. So It's beautiful. What can I say? It's what we do. It's how we roll. There's Sue Morris and Dana. Hi, Dana.